Okay.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is Miss Guinness here. I know that many of you have met me and know who I am, but in case you're new to the point, I'm the principal of Sparrows Point Middle School. And so this is my fourth year at Sparrows Point Middle School. Prior to that, I was the principal at Battle Grove Elementary, which is just down the street, and we receive a lot of students from Battle Grove, so it's nice to loop with them. And also, I am a member of this community, so I see a lot of our students out and about on the soccer fields. Thankfully, the soccer fields are open again. And just, at the food line, the snowball stand, wherever. So I am also a very proud member of the community. So as we get started tonight, I just want to assure you that we are off to a great start this school year at Sparrows Point Middle School. We did have a lot of tech issues when we kicked off the first week of school, and since then we've resolved many of those issues, and our students are able to log on. And there are a couple of other issues that, whether it's connectivity issues that we've been working to resolve. So certainly, if you're having any of those problems or know someone who is, please have them reach out to me. So before we get started tonight, I wanted to share with you some changes to the virtual learning environment that you may have already noticed by now that is quite different from the spring. And the first thing I want to draw your attention to is that our learning blocks now are much longer. So we spread out our 7-period day over 2 days. And we made each learning block longer so that we could provide dedicated time to direct instruction, guided practice, checks for understanding, and independent assessment. So if you're ever listening in to your student in class, you'll see that the teachers are pausing and providing time for students to work independently while they're still logged onto Google Meet so that they can provide coaching in small group as necessary. So what I tell many students is that there is time built in to get your work done with the support of a teacher during each learning block. So they should not have tons of work to do at the conclusion of the school day, because they've been given that time during the school day, and they also have teacher office hours. So that was when I built the schedule like that. It was also my hope to take a little bit of stress off of our parents, knowing that a teacher would be there to help supervise the fact that kids were turning things on in time and knew what to do and where to submit it. So also, you'll notice that we have small group instruction on Wednesdays, and I have been sending messages out. This is expected attendance. So on Wednesdays, students and many of the teachers, as we go through in our slides this evening, they'll explain to you a little bit more about what to expect on Wednesdays. But when your student receives an invitation to attend a small group instructional meeting with the teacher, that's the expectation that they do show up for that meeting time. Teachers are looking at data to pull small groups, and those groups are focused on acceleration as much as modifications that students may need. So we realize that within this virtual environment that kids are coming to us with some with gaps and some right on target. And so this is an opportunity for us to appropriately push students to continue with rigorous learning. And finally, one of my favorite things about the new schedule is that we have advisory groups. And what this is we meet with small groups of kids, me included, and I do have an 8th grade group. It's my favorite time of the week is the 2 days a week that I meet with my advisory students, and I can tell you what I did this week. So I had each one of my advisory students, we met one-on-one, and I pulled up their grades. And I think they were really surprised that I had access to their grades and I was going to look at them with them sitting there. And so we went through those grades and we set some goals, because while some of them had everything was submitted and grades were awesome, there were others that were missing quite a few assignments. And so, that allowed me to provide some coaching around how are you spending your time? What is time management looking like for you? What are you actually doing during the learning block? And more importantly, how are you going to come back from or bring up some of these grades, and how are you going to approach contacting teachers so that that can happen? And it's really cute today. I've gotten so many messages from kids in my advisory that have said, oh, Ms. Ganaris, I did this and I did that and I met with this teacher. And so they're checking back with me. So parents, I want you to know that you're not the only coach that's following up on the students. We're doing that too. And again, it's so that we can kind of take a little bit off of your plate. And that being said, I'd like to thank our parents. I know what it is like to have a job, work from home, and have, your own kids at home, trying to make sure that they are doing the things that they need to do and continuing their instruction. And it is definitely a daunting task to wear so many hats in your home. And so I appreciate you for that. And we know that without the partnership that we have with you, we would not be successful as a school. And I do want to recognize, before you go off and meet all the wonderful teachers on the 8th grade team, I've got to recognize my teachers, because they are absolutely amazing. Their time and effort and detail into planning, flipping the things that they've always taught and done to a virtual environment has been just the heaviest lift, yet they have done it with so much pride in what they're able to give students. They have been enthusiastic about it, and they're in it to win it. And I just couldn't be more thankful for them and the work that they're doing. So you're in good hands, is what I want you to know. If you need to reach me at any time, you can certainly email me. I have daily office hours, 9:40 to 10:10 and 11:20 to 11:50. So you can drop in anytime. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Rizzi, and he is our team leader for 8th grade.
Thank you, Ms. Ganaris. Good evening. I'm Mr. Rizzi. I am the 8th grade team leader. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what my role is as an 8th grade team leader. And if you're wondering, that is a 5-pound bass, by the way. Okay. So as the 8th grade team leader, I have numerous responsibilities that I take care of on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. I coordinate all the 8th grade activities. Now, the two biggest activities we have are the 8th grade farewell ceremony at the end of the year in the Washington, D.C. field trip. So just to give you a brief overview of what's going to happen at the end of the year with the 8th grade farewell ceremony is it is a graduation ceremony for middle school. Every child will walk across the stage and be recognized in front of the entire 8th grade community. We invite all parents, we invite all grandparents. We will recognize kids that have outstanding grades, outstanding attendance. We will give awards, content awards out for deserving students. Pictures will be taken the entire time. I can't tell you what the date is for the 8th grade farewell ceremony, and we want to let you know as soon as possible because we understand that people have to take off of work to attend this, but not until the Board of Education sets the last day of school can we tell you. But mostly it's the last day, the last full day of instruction is when we have it. The last 2 days of school are almost always half days, and we try to plan it for that last full day. So it's a wonderful ceremony. Everyone enjoys it. I highly suggest that you bring anyone who's had an impact on your child's elementary and middle school career. It's also a very emotional day for parents because their little baby is going to go to high school, and it's a big milestone in anyone's life. So moving on to the 8th grade field trip in Washington, D.C., we take anywhere between 120 and 160 8th graders to Washington, D.C. We leave at 8 o'clock in the morning. We get back at 4:30. We visit numerous memorials and monuments while we're there. The Vietnam Wall, the Korean War Memorial, the Abraham Lincoln Memorial. We'll stand on the same steps that Martin Luther King gave his speech. We'll walk up the reflection pond. I will actually point out to everyone where Forrest and Jenny met in the movie right there. We'll walk up to World War II, go to the Washington Monument, and then we go to, I think it's the American History Museum first, and then we walk over to the Natural History Museum. We take coach buses, and it's a good day, a good time for all, and that's always planned for a Monday as well. So, but what I do mostly on a daily basis is support students. And we often talk about the whole student and supporting the whole student. So when we talk about the whole student, there are 4 categories that we try to address. The first being the social emotional aspect of any child. On a daily basis, some children just are having a bad day for whatever reason. They're not happy at home, they're not happy on the bus, something happens, and they just can't be in school for that day or sit in class for that day. So oftentimes they will come down to my room and spend some time with me, and they're going to be alone and away from everyone, and they can work quietly and they don't have to worry about whatever's bothering them. And if I can't solve their problems, I can usually send them over to Miss Chadwick and Miss Gordon, the guidance counselors, and they can address any of the social emotional needs that that child has. Okay. After that, we also look at the attendance. Okay? I meet with Miss Sutton often, and we discuss attendance. And if you receive a phone call from me about attendance, it's because your child is missing too many days of school. Miss Sutton and I and a lot of the 8th grade teachers will sit down and we'll brainstorm and come up with ways to improve attendance. And if your child comes to school enough, you're not going to have to worry about this part of the whole student and interventions. After that, a big part of my week as team leader has to do with academics, and not just the academics of my students, but the academics of the entire 8th grade. I will sit down with the 8th grade teachers. We will compare notes. We will see how every student is doing. If your student is in danger of failing for that quarter, you're going to be hearing from me. You're going to be hearing from all the teachers as well, but you're going to be hearing from me because I'm going to call you, not email you. I'm going to call you because I prefer the phone. And you're going to come in and sit down, and we're going to discuss ways to improve your child's academics and get them moving in the right direction. And we're going to do it early in the quarter because we need a couple of weeks to turn the ship around. And I know all the 8th grade teachers very well. I've been working with them for a long time. They will make a lot of exceptions for your child. Makeup work, anything they need, I can get for them. The teachers will give to them to get them where they need to be. So when they come home with that report card, you're going to have a smile on your face instead of a frown. I also deal with behavior management. Okay. I am the go-between between the teachers and the administration. So if we're having behavior issues, it often comes across my desk before it gets to the administration. And hopefully I can deal with it, because if I have to refer to the administration, there's a different set of consequences. So it's better that I deal with it. I try my best to solve any issues they have, and I usually can if everybody works with me. And it never has to go across the hall to the principal's office. So that's a little bit of my role as a team leader. Even if I don't teach your child, feel free to email me with any questions you have about anything related to the 8th grade. That is a big part of what I do. I get emails all the time from parents that I don't teach. I get back to you within 24 hours. Again, feel free to email or call me. All right, now that's 8th grade team leader. Now we're going to move to content, which means science class will be first. So the science teachers have slides ready for you. Please pay attention. And let me do it. And here we go, the 8th grade science team. Somewhere on this Google Meet, there is a science teacher who's going to start talking right now.
Hi, everyone. So I am Miss Weller. I am the science department chair. I teach 7th and 8th grade science. This is my 5th year in BCPS and my 5th year at Sparrows Point Middle School. I have my bachelor's degree in middle school education, science, and social studies, and I'm also a student at Towson currently. If you ever need to reach me, feel free to use my email. It's on the slide, but it's kind of small, so it's just aweller@bcps.org.
All right, I'm up. I'm Miss Roof. I teach 7th and 8th grade science. This is my 2nd year in Baltimore County, and it's my 2nd year at Sparrows Point. I went to Slippery Rock University and I got my bachelor's and master's there in environmental studies and environmental education. My email is also on there. It's kroof@bcps.org. And then all of the pictures at the bottom are all of the class pets that are in my room. And then there's a picture of my dog on there too. And then I also got my teaching certificate at Notre Dame, I think 2 years ago.
Awesome. I'm Miss Ruff. I teach general 8th grade science as well as GT. This is my 5th year teaching, my 2nd year at Sparrows Point. I have a bachelor's degree from Towson in biology. My email is druff2@bcps.org. And Miss Roof and I are actually the Green Club advisors. So if you have a child that you think may be interested in extending science outside of the school day, please talk to them about joining Green Club and reaching out to either myself or Miss Roof.
All right.
And we also have Mrs. Smith on our team. She is going to be with the 6th grade back to school night, but she did ask that we just share her information. So she is the special education department chair, and she will be working with our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science classes.
All right, so we are actually just getting into our first unit of climate detectives in 8th grade. We are focusing on this question: how could changes in global temperatures affect extreme weather? We're starting off this unit with talking about natural hazards and natural disasters. So students usually get very hooked right away in this unit because we talk about events that maybe they have witnessed in their lifetime. We have a culminating assessment at the end of the unit where students are going to be basically arguing and supporting their argument with evidence that the frequency and intensity of Atlantic hurricanes have increased over the past 100 years. So they're basically going to argue that or refute that claim. So we're going to get into some debates in science right off the bat. That's our first unit.
And the second unit we have is on mastodon and megalodons. And the driving question for that is, how have Maryland's geology and life forms changed over time? And how do we know? And basically, they're going to use evidence to make a timeline of Maryland's geologic and biologic history.
So then for our third unit, we get into, it's called Designer Dogs. This one seems to be a fan favorite amongst our 8th graders. We look at, for that one, sorry, thank you. For that one, we're looking at heredity and genetic science and technology and natural selection. So we get to work with the Punnett squares for this one, and we get to breed different dogs in natural selection in gray wolves, and we get to see how the traits are selected and passed on from parents to offspring.
And then the last unit we have, it's a little different than 7th grade. We only have 4, which is awesome. We have overstepping our resources. And the driving question is, in what ways can we sustain a critical resource in Maryland? So it's kind of environmental focused. And the culminating event is to make an action plan to reduce the human impact on a natural area. And then they actually do the evaluation plan to monitor that action plan.
And then in science, so I know a lot of the other teachers are going to go through their breakdown of their assignments as well. For science, we do have our major assignments, which are 30% of our grades, and those include our learning cycle assessments and culminating events. So those are provided to us from the county. Our minor assessments, which are 70% of our grades, are going to be the daily assessments, practice assignments, show what you know, discussions, try it out, and daily participation. The minor category can be redone to improve grade if it is a low score.
And Wednesdays, today was another Wednesday that we had. Please remind your child to check their Schoology messages because teachers are reaching out to them, asking them to join a small group instruction. And Wednesdays are also a day where they are required to log on to Schoology. they need to make sure that they log on by 1:00 p.m. Hopefully they do it prior to that and check their messages. But this day is to finish any work from a previous class. And they always want to go to our science pages and search for the Wednesday folder. And in the Wednesday folder, they will find what they need to do for that day. And this is a great opportunity, as Ms. Weller was talking about, for redoing assignments. This is a great day where students have the opportunity to reach out to teachers, ask for retakes, and do some one-on-one instruction as well. So please, please, please remind your child to check those messages on Schoology.
And that's just another slide for Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to math.
Hello.
Hello.
I am Mr. Mullis. Do you guys want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Mrs. Hips.
And I'm Mrs. Karwacki.
And we are your 8th grade math team. All of our emails are on here, but it's pretty much our first initial last name, no numbers for us. And you can also reach us through Schoology messaging. Can we go next slide? So our assignments are very similar to science. It's broken down 30-70. Our redo assignments that students can demonstrate mastery on a standard through mostly the Show What You Knows, and they can redo. We have office hours to help support them in their understanding. And for missing work, you'll see an M or a 0 is how that's going to calculate out. So if your child is missing something, you can check their grade book on a weekly basis to make sure that everything is turned in, because we do not want zeros. They really hurt your average. All right, next slide. This is Mr. Kirby. He is also part of the math team. He pops into, I believe, Ms. Karwacki's room.
And Miss Hips.
And Ms. Hips for some extra support for some of our kiddos. Wednesday math meetings, like Science was saying, we had a Wednesday today. This is time for us to work together to get caught up. Your child can receive an invite for a small group where we will be working with them on some things that they either struggled with, and we're also going to be meeting with kids to accelerate them and to get them up to that next level. It's also time to do some extra practice with skills, and attendance is not optional. They need to be logging in before 1 o'clock to do their work to be counted as present for the day.
All right. This is Mrs. Hips. I am the Math 8 teacher. We have 6 units of study. The textbooks can be found through HMH, which is under Instructional and Productivity Tools. The calculator that a student in Math 8 would need is just a regular scientific calculator. One thing I do want to point out to my Math 8 parents, if you go into the folder, under each lesson, you will see where it says must complete. When your student has completed what is in that folder, it will turn the check mark green. So if you're curious to if your child has done their work, just look to see if they have a green check mark under their folder. If they don't have it, they haven't done their work. Okay.
Okay, and again, I'm Ms. Mullis. I'm the Algebra 1 teacher for 8th grade. This is a high school course that students will be receiving a high school credit for. It is not counted as a math credit, but it is a high school credit. We have 4 units of study. The textbook can also be in its digital resources or instructional tools in Schoology, and they have access to that resource. A graphing calculator is going to be used in this course, where you can either purchase one or we've been using Desmos, which also has a graphing calculator. And there was a homework assignment for parents in their folder that came home in that brown bag for you to write 1,000,000 words or less and send it to me about your kid. So thank you for those that had done that. And the other thing that is in that folder is an interactive notebook that we have been working on almost every day, and it'll be a good resource for your child to hold on to. And up is next is Ms. Karwacki.
Yes, I am the GT geometry teacher. This year we have 8 units of study. We do use the Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, the HMH textbook, and we use it pretty much every day. All the lessons are being pulled from that textbook. It's something they should go and see. There are practice tests, things they can do. There's tutorials, videos, extra examples that are like in that textbook. It is really important for kids to go if they need extra help and I'm not available, they can always do that. I am also using the Desmos. It's like a practice thing where I can see kind of live the best I can get to actually be in the classroom to see how they're doing on a concept so I can talk to them and go over any misconceptions they have. So that's a big thing. They're doing it almost every single day. They're in this, and if they're absent, they can always access it on their own time and get caught up if they are absent. We do use a graphing calculator, or they can use the online Desmos like Miss Amola said. These kids have used it last year. And we are doing constructions, different websites, and different things. So it's an exciting year to sit there and learn how to teach geometry and learn it.
Okay, moving on to specials, and we're going to start with physical education.
Good evening. My name is Miss Ryan, and I am one of the physical education teachers at Sparrows Point Middle. I am also the physical education and health department chair, and I am the athletic advisor. This is my 23rd year at Sparrows Point, and I am looking forward to another year. Mr. Sefcik.
I am Mr. Sefcik. I'm the other physical education teacher. I see my Aunt Cindy with her camera on. We have one. It's like with the 8th grade, it's like pulling teeth to try to get cameras on during classes, especially phys ed when I'm trying to get them up and get them moving around. We're doing jumping jacks and jogging in place and planks and push-ups, and I'm the only one doing. I'm like, I guarantee every single kid's just calling their parents in right now to laugh at me. I'm on camera doing these push-ups. So if you ever see a camera with me doing jumping jacks and looking like a fool and your kid's sitting there, please encourage them to get up and join me, because it makes me feel better when I see that one kid with their camera on doing the jumping jacks with me, doing the push-ups with me, and doing the exercise with me. It feels like I'm actually doing it with somebody, not just doing it by myself, which is kind of awkward.
Mr. Sefcik, I just don't know how to turn my camera off. I
knew there was a reason.
Alexia knows how to turn it off.
Isn't that the truth?
Hey, my biggest sort of philosophy as a phys ed teacher is to try to get your student to find something that they can enjoy that's going to make them stay active for a long time. So do your best to encourage them to get up and get moving. Cross country team right now. Running's not everybody's favorite thing to do, but it's a great way to get good exercise in a short amount of time, and that's what I'm stressing to the kids. So if you want them to get up and get moving, encourage them to join the cross country team. We need people. We have like 8 people who have been coming so far, and I'd like to have more because it makes the event more fun. We will still have the event at the end of the year, and it just makes the practices more fun when you have more people getting their times in and more people at the meet. So encourage your kid to join cross country. Other than that, assignments. There's an expectation each week to have their assignment done. If it's not done, then I send messages. If they don't do the assignment and they don't respond to my messages, then it's kind of difficult. I teach 320 some kids, and I try my best to send messages to everyone, but it's definitely their responsibility to stay on top of their grades at this point and get their stuff done. And I mean, this 8th grade class it really is awesome. I've known them for 3 years now, and it's a really good group of kids. So it's a pleasure. I can't wait to hopefully soon get back into the building and get interactive with them again.
Okay, thank you.
Next slide. Okay, so this is Miss Ryan again. So Mr. Sefcik was just talking about some expectations that we have. We do expect our students to come to class on time and dress for physical activity. Mr. Sefcik and I both have been doing at least 15 to 20 minutes of activity with our students. Some of them are turning their cameras on. And like I told my students, if your camera's not on, I hope you're still at least doing the exercise, because this week's lesson was the why. Why are we doing this? Mr. Sefcik and I both just expect you to just do your best and don't be afraid to ask us for help. We do strongly encourage you to turn your cameras on. Like Mr. Sevchek just said, you know, we've known this group of students for 3 years. This is our 3rd year, and it's really hard to connect with them again if we can't see them. And I know right now, like, that just makes my class. When I can see my students and I see them participating, it helps me to have a better class as well. And then we also have assignments each week that they need to complete. Next slide, Mr. Rizzi. So our scope and sequence as to what we will be doing in this virtual world. We are going to be doing some fitness walking, jump roping, line dancing, cardio drumming, aerobic exercises, target games. Next slide. Muscular strength exercises, invasion games, juggling, fitness testing. So some of these things, I know equipment is an issue. What we're going to do is we're going to have a little STEM project and try to figure out what we can use in your house as equipment so that we can still work on these skills. All right, next slide. Ms. Antonelli.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miss Antonelli here, and I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade along with Miss Ryan and Mr. Sevchek. I've also had every student here in 8th grade, if they've been here at Sparrows Point, I've had them for, this is my 3rd year, and they are a very lovely group of students that I love to have. So I teach every single kid in the school, so either I teach them 1st semester or 2nd semester. Mr. Rizzi? So this year we actually teach some more mature units. The first one is mental and emotional health. This is a newer unit for us due to COVID and virtual learning and the types of mental health that are going on in this world right now. The second unit, substance abuse prevention, we talk about a whole different list of different drugs and the long and short term, what word am I looking for? Basically what happens long term and short term. When using those drugs. The third unit is about healthy relationships, which is one of my favorite units. The fourth one is when we start getting into the much more mature content. Unit 4, human sexuality, we start talking about how to access reliable information to find out, you know, different things that students or different questions they might have about different sexual questions. And then that leads us into, we talk about different types of birth control and contraceptives. That unit is, there's provided an opt-out form. So basically you will only fill out this form if you do not want your student to participate. That will be provided on Schoology in the near future. And so if you're interested in that beforehand, please let me know and I can send it to you. But that's only if you want your students to not participate. The last unit goes along with that, disease control and prevention, and that just talks about different STIs and how to hopefully prevent from getting those. Otherwise, I'm more than welcome, I'm more than welcome to have students redo assignments as many times as they need. All they have to do is let me know, and if they need to contact me anytime, really, it doesn't have to be during office hours, just send me a message or an email.
All right, this is Ms. Ryan again. Just so that you know what is expected of your students on Wednesdays out of health and physical education. We ask that your students, your children go into Schoology and check their grade book. They should go into almost every class and take a look and see what they are missing. I also highly suggest that your child goes into the Schoology right there next to the word messages. There's an envelope with a little yellow circle. That is how your teachers are communicating with your children. And so it's really important that they look at those messages, read them, and answer them. Make sure that on Wednesdays, that is the time to double check any previous work that they are missing from a previous phys ed class or health class. They can take the time to contact their teachers for assistance. They can also, what might be invited to a small group. And when they're invited to a small group, where they're expected to show up because they're in school for that day, unless they have another class that it interferes with. Next slide, Mr. Rizzi. I also mentioned that I am the athletic advisor at Sparrows Point, and we are doing athletics virtually. Right now, badminton with Miss Antonelli and cross country with Mr. Sevchek has begun. We will be doing basketball, and we will be doing tennis and track and field and allied softball. This evening at 7:35, I will be having an athletic Google Meet for anyone who is interested in athletics, or if anyone who is participating in athletics, just so that way you have the knowledge and have the information that you need to get us through this year with athletics. If you have, I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Mr. Powis, and I'm the Fine Arts Department Chair. I teach band, strings, as well as world music. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at this email, mpowis@bcps.org, and I'll usually answer you within 24 hours. You can get to the next slide. So there's a couple things that you need for band and orchestra. You're going to need an instrument. You can borrow an instrument from the school, and they're on a first come, first served basis. If you want to rent an instrument from like Menchie's or Music and Arts, or if you'd like to purchase an instrument, please use me as a resource and I'll guide you in the right direction. If you're borrowing an instrument, I'll be at the school tomorrow between 5 and 7 p.m. And a loan agreement form is necessary to borrow an instrument, and I'll have those on hand for you to sign. There are a couple of materials that you'll need for this class. If they purchased a book last year, they actually are going to finish that book this year. And any additional materials that they need, if you click on the link and download the document, if you click on the blue text, it'll take you right to the specific items that you need. This is also in their Schoology folder. It's a black folder labeled important documents and links, and they can find that information there as well. And if you have any questions specifically on what to buy or whatever, I can be reached via messages or an email. You can go ahead to the next slide. This is some topics that we're covering: tuning instruments, how to practice their reading fluency, interpreting messages in music, and writing music and having short composition. You can go ahead to the next slide. All right, Mr. Swain, go ahead, take it away, man.
All right, I made it for this one, Powis. I did it, buddy. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm actually in my car. My daughter has dance down in Parkville, and it was running at the same time. So if it's kind of choppy, that's just because I'm in a parking lot here. Anyway, I'm Mr. Swain. I do chorus and 8th grade general music, which this is called American music this year. If they had me previous years, it was world music. Basically what we're going to be doing with chorus, I still want to try to keep them singing as much as possible. We'll go over the stuff that we've been doing, the multi-part singing, proper technique, posture, all that kind of stuff. With the American music, we're going to do a couple different units. We have a jazz unit. We have Roots of American Music, and Music and Social Change. There's some cool stuff in the 8th grade. So if they've been through 6th and 7th, the 8th grade general music is a little bit more fun. Chorus wise, we're going to definitely get into reading music. That's something that I definitely want to spend some time doing, since we're going to have the time. We don't have to stress about these performances. So we have time to actually dig into the music a little bit more, which I'm pretty excited about. I do send messages to the classes, usually right after we meet, so it's fresh in my mind, just giving them a reminder. They will have an assignment due at the end of each period. We had one this week where they were doing some singing and using one of the new tools that we have this year that most of them turned in. But if they don't turn in, like, I'm sending messages to each class, so if they're missing work and they're checking their messages, they should know to check my class. So if they have any questions, they can reach out to me and I will definitely send an email back. All right. I think that's all I got, Mr. Rizzi.
So these are some expectations for music class. It's very similar to phys ed, where they're going to need to participate. And they're going to use a variety of methods, such as singing, playing instruments. And if there's like a problem during the class time, they can use things like clapping, humming, and other virtual tools that we'll go over in class. And again, Wednesday small group is expected for invited individuals because it is a day of school. And if they were not invited, they should really check their grades, make sure all assignments are submitted, and also check for any feedback, because all minor assignments are eligible for a redo in our music classes. With that, I'm finished. If you have any other questions, please email me or message me. Have a wonderful evening.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mrs. Nestor. I teach art. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at nnestor@bcps.org. Expectation for art students are expected to submit pictures of their artwork and assignments on Schoology. Every student should log into Schoology and check their grades and feedback, missing assignments. On Wednesday, small group, 8th grader is at 9 to 9:30. In terms of materials, you will need a sketchbook, pencil, color pencils, markers. So this first quarter, we will be learning about personal identity, psychological identity, social identity, and elements of art and principle of designs. If you have any question, please let me know. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Dees, and I am the other art teacher. If your kid is not lucky enough to have Miss Nestor, then they have my class. And it's going to be a lot of the same things. We work together on making our units this year. I know there's some 8th graders that have double art. I've already talked with those people about the fact that, because they're interested enough in art to take the double art class, a lot of it's on them to come up with the creative second thing that they want to do. Or since we're doing all of our stuff based around identity, a suggestion that I gave somebody was that they could make up a second identity for the second class. So we'll figure out ways to make everything work. We're going to learn about the elements of art. We're going to weave those into our lessons while we also fulfill everything that the state has given us to do, which I really like the way they set that up. We have to make art. We have to look at art. We have to be able to write about art and understand the ideas behind it. And we have to be able to connect it through ourselves to the world and see that sort of connection that's always drawn people to art throughout history. We're going to do choice-based art projects and figure out the best way to display them as the years goes on. If I have to make a website, I'll make a website show. If we wind up all back in the same place and we can run them through the printer, we'll print out all the best stuff that got made at home. We'll figure something out to display the art. Right now, as Ms. Nestor said, we just need the kids to make sure that they know how to upload images to us, and everything else that I'm running is off of Schoology or just slides that I'm showing them. So our interaction time has been great, and we've been trying to troubleshoot that stuff ahead of time. It's been going really well. Now, on Wednesdays, I say contact me on Schoology or I'll contact you for a Wednesday meeting. That is my time for Wednesday meetings, and it's not just for people that are falling behind or missing work. I also want anyone who feels like I'm not getting enough art. I'm working on a side project of my own, and I could use the art teacher's help. Anything like that, you are more than welcome to hit me up, and we'll set a time that we're going to meet on a particular Wednesday or during one of my office hours during the week. I've already been meeting with tons of people for either helping them catch up or because, like I said, they want some extension that they know that I can't offer to the entire class. So that's all I have. This is going to all be here, all this contact information on the slideshow wherever Mr. Rizzi decides to put it. And that's all I have, Mr. Rizzi. You can move ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm Mr. Potts. I'm the tech ed teacher and I teach all grades, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. My main goal as a virtual tech ed teacher is very similar to the goal I had as an in-person teacher, is that, I'm trying to have the kids build and design as much as possible. A little bit limited based on the fact that we don't have the same kind of tools or materials, but that brings me to two main points that I wanted to make in this meeting. The main one, as Mr. Dees just said, was a lot of the work that the kids do to me, I have to see it and I assess it and critique it and kind of help along the way of the design and the actual building. And so it's important for me to be able to see what they're actually doing. So therefore, the assignments, a lot of the times, are submitting pictures of what they've created or their designs. And so it's very important that they're able to take those photos and upload those to Schoology. The second really big point I wanted to make was about materials. Now, we're waiting on some materials to arrive, and I'll be able to make some kits, but surely enough, those kits will probably run out before maybe the semester's over. And therefore, I put a list of suggested materials, and all of these things are things you could possibly get at the dollar store, or, obviously you can get them at a craft store, but you could definitely probably get most of the stuff at a grocery store as well. Now, it's great to have a kit or something available that they can dig into. In that way, a lot of the times there are specific things that we have to use, but obviously at this point, I'm very flexible, and if a certain material isn't able to be gotten, we can figure out something else. Usually, there's about a week that the kids have to complete it, just in case they don't have a certain material. And again, I'm very flexible. Just let me know if something comes up and you can't get a certain material. And I'm not going to hold it against anybody if they can't, get some tinfoil in time. Wednesdays, I'm either going to be inviting students that are falling behind a little bit. But again, one of the other things that I do is I'm a wood shop teacher as well. I have my own wood shop. So I'm not telling the kids to actually go turn on any power tools, especially if they're home alone. So, but if they do have something that they're interested in and they want to create, please, let them know that they can reach out to me about that on Wednesdays as well. If you guys have any questions, my information is going to be there, and I'll be available to you guys. And usually I'll get back to you within a day. So usually within the 24 hours. I hope you guys have a good rest of the evening.
Okay, next up, world languages.
Hola, I'm Miss Strucco. I'm a primarily 8th grade teacher, but I also do have 7th graders this year. Along with me, we have my colleagues, Miss Lorenzos, Miss Cintron, and Miss Cherry, who's our department chair. And all of our emails are there. Mine is kstrucco@bcps.org if you ever need to reach me, or you can just send me a message on Schoology. All of our office hours are the same this year. So between 9:40 to 10:10, 11:20 to 11:50, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then on Wednesday, that'll be 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And just as everyone else said, on Wednesdays, we're also holding small groups. So if we send your student an invitation, we would like to see them there for sure. And just as Mr. D said, we are doing groups not only for students who need a little bit of extra help, but perfect example, today I worked on an advanced group with some students who really wanted to be pushed and wanted to learn some new vocabulary and wanted to learn some new functions of language. And really quick, before we go to the next slide, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of this slide, you will see the ACTFL scale. The ACTFL is the Council for World Languages. And basically you have several different levels of proficiency and fluency, starting at novice low and ending at superior. For the majority of what we're doing here between Spanish A all the way up through intermediate Spanish level C, your student will be somewhere between novice low and intermediate mid. So for Spanish A, and since we do have mixed level classes, your 8th grader may be in any one of these levels. So you can just take note of whichever one your student is in at this time. So this year I only teach Spanish B. Miss Cherry is the Spanish intermediate teacher, and she also teaches a section of Spanish B. And then between Miss Lorenzos and Miss Cintron, they cover the rest of level A and B. So in level A this year, we have Unit 1, My Circle, which is like social, like a little bit of personality, very basic information there. My Plate, which is like food. My School, your different, like how to say different classes and how to talk about your schedule and things of that nature. And then My Style. And so the proficiency expectations are all listed below. And so essentially your student right now, if they are in Spanish level A, they are probably at novice low. They're able to pick up a couple words here and there. They're able to produce a couple words and some small phrases. And that extends into like novice mid. So if a student is at novice mid, they are able to produce words and phrases consistently. They're able to understand words and phrases consistently. They're able to kind of start building with the language a little bit instead of just parroting. Novice high, which starts to move us into level B. Novice high is where students are able to start forming and stitching together complete sentences and simple sentences. The majority of the time, they're also able to go back and forth between phrases and sentences. And that brings us to level B. So
quarter one is then and now. So we start looking at past tense. We start looking at, I am versus when I was younger, I was. Living well, vivir sano, that is the unit about health and wellness, mental health, physical health, things of that nature. Activities as well, sports. Unit 3 is celebremos, let's celebrate. And that's where we start to look at other cultures. We start to look at other holidays that different countries celebrate. The students always have such a fun time with that one because they get to look at different countries and kind of see videos, and they love it. And then unit 4, day in the life. We normally kind of mix day in the life with viajamos, which is the travel unit. And so we talk about like different countries and different cultures and where they would like to go and what their routines would look like while they're there. And then, so these students typically during quarter one, they start out somewhere between novice mid and novice high, as we discussed. And then by the end, essentially, as they progress throughout the levels, you start to see a little bit of like they start to move a little bit slower as they improve because it takes so much more information, to move to the next level. So by the end of Spanish B, they should hit, somewhere around intermediate low. Same thing with Spanish, intermediate Spanish C, where if a student is intermediate low, they're essentially functionally able to have a conversation with a native speaker. They can have basic conversations about topics that they're familiar with, and they can do that with a relatively high degree of success with the vocabulary that they have. And then Spanish intermediate, you have My Ideal World, The Future of Animals, The Creative World, and The World of Books. These are all setting your students up to be successful in Spanish 4 in high school. If they successfully complete Spanish intermediate, they will go to high school somewhere between Spanish 3 and Spanish 4. And this will set them up really, really well to earn the seal of biliteracy, which is something that Baltimore County offers. And it's essentially a qualification that says your student is biliterate. They are not bilingual. They are biliterate, which is essentially you, instead of just being able to speak the language, you're able to write it and read it as well. And Spanish AP is kind of the track we would like to see your student on. If your student is leaving middle school somewhere between level B and level C, there is a very, very high probability that they can actually finish high school fluent in Spanish with their seal of biliteracy. And this is pretty much everything that I just explained to you in short in the last slide. They go from novice low to copying and parroting, essentially familiar words, characters, and phrases. Novice mid, they're writing lists, very short, very abbreviated, levels of Spanish. Novice high is where they really start to be able to personalize the language and internalize it and use it in their everyday lives. Intermediate low is just a build off of novice high, where they're able to present the information with a little bit less anxiety and a little bit more fluently. They're able, and then intermediate mid is where they start to use like series of sentences. So anywhere between intermediate low and intermediate mid, students are actually writing full paragraphs in the target language of Spanish. And essentially the same thing here. We have 3 different modes of communication in world languages. We have presentational writing, interpretive reading, and interpersonal speaking. So we're just assuring you that not only can your student write and read, but they can also speak the language successfully. So virtual classroom expectations. Use the chat in an appropriate way, especially for participation. We would like to see your students if they are comfortable turning on their cameras. I personally like to have my students turn their cameras on when they enter class, just so that I can say hi to them and address them in a more respectful way where I feel like I'm actually interacting with them. Use Spanish as much as you can. We understand that, given the circumstances, it's really tough. But we are here to support them, and this is the perfect opportunity for them to practice, where they're not, next to their classmate trying to repeat the words and feeling very anxious. So if you just hear your student speaking a couple Spanish words, just kind of let them roll with it. They are doing a fabulous job. I know my students are actually turning on their microphones to speak Spanish with the class, so that's really fabulous. And it is very important that students submit the work that they are assigned in the Google Meet. Our goal is to ensure that the students have their work done or they have minimal work to do outside of class, which is pretty nice. We're not trying to overload your student with Spanish by any means. We are really just trying to, I mean, if you can see my whiteboard behind me, we're really trying to make sure that they have all the information they need in class. And that as long as they're following along with the work in class, they should be fine. But we are always available for office hours or coach class or however you want to call that. Assignments that are typically completed in the Google Meets are we go over the outcomes. The students know what they need to learn by the end of the class. We do our try it, our learn about it, and then another try it just to check for understanding. The try it's are usually about 2 questions each, so it's not, over extenuating. And then the show what you know. So hopefully your student's able to actually get everything that they need done in class before they, just so that they don't have to do work outside of class. And then,
this is Mr. Rizzi.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go ahead and move forward.
All right. I know you have
Okay, so same grading and redo policy. Students can redo minor category assignments, and your major grades are 30% and your minors are 70%. We normally ask if they want to redo that they come to office hours so we can check that they understand and we can help them out. And same thing, we look for the message for your invite when you need to be in our small group session. Finish your assignments from Monday and Tuesday on Wednesday. I think we all actually close out the assignments for Monday and Tuesday on Wednesday, just so that, that the students can start fresh on Thursday and Friday. And let us know if you have any questions. We cannot read your minds, even though we speak a second language. And we are always willing to help.
all right.
So essentially, there are a million reasons as to why you need to learn another language. And I already spoke on the seal of biliteracy, but essentially a second language just helps you grow your critical thinking skills, grow the frontal cortex of your brain. You have better cultural awareness. You have actually better math skills. And these are all things that I can talk to you about individually if you would like to know anything more about these things, but I don't want to take away from anyone else's time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. 8th grade language arts and reading. I'm Mr. Rizzi. It's my 21st year at Sparrows Point. I'm currently teaching 5 8th grade classes. I went to college in University of Pennsylvania in Towson. I'm the Quiz Bowl coach. There will be a Quiz Bowl team this year. I just had a meeting about it today. Run the school store. I'm the team leader. And I want everyone to know that my virtual classroom has the same expectations as a real classroom. So in 8th grade language arts, we have 4 units. The unit we're currently on is a challenge of approaching adulthood. Each unit has a theme. Each unit has a performance-based assessment, which is a fancy way of saying large writing assignment. And our first large writing assignment is argument writing. So all the lessons leading up to the performance-based assessment will prepare them for their performance-based assessment. And each unit has a novel assigned to it. It actually has numerous novels assigned to it, but we can pick the one we like to teach, and we're currently reading The Outsiders. So you can see Unit 2, Challenge of Writing Aging Story. It's narrative writing, and we'll be reading The Giver. Now, The Giver and The Outsiders are both movies, and I would love for you to tell your kids not to watch those movies. Unit 3, The Challenge of a Divided Nation. We're going to do an analytical essay for the PBA, and we'll be reading Chasing Lincoln's Killer. Unit 4, The Challenge of Combining Cultures. For the PBA, we will be critiquing and making a recommendation based on some things we read, and we'll be reading Refugee. All right, and there are the 4 novels there. So we have weekly homework, vocabulary, Latin root, and novel homework. I assign the homeworks on Monday. They are due Friday. They have all week to do them. When they turn in their completed work, it's usually through submissions. If that is not working for some reason, they can email it to me. If the email is not working for some reason, they can take a picture and send it to me. I have students that do that. Redo policy within 2 weeks, I'll give them full credit. My office hours are the same as everybody else in the entire school. Wednesday work, I will send a message in the morning. Now, I checked the analytics today for my first period class, and probably 85% of them didn't log on for the first time until after 11 o'clock. And by then, you've already missed your morning one-on-one group sessions. So if you could have your kids log on as early as possible and read their messages, it would do wonders for our attendance in small group instruction on Wednesdays. And I also do weekly grammar and proofreading with my classes as well. Okay, I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Wise.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mr. Wise. This is my second year at Sparrows Point Middle School. I previously taught at a charter school network in New York City. I'm a graduate from the University of Maryland College Park, English Language and Literature. I teach 2 sections of GT, 2 sections of Standard English, and 1 section of 6th grade English with Mrs. George. So I'm not going to go over the 8th grade Standard English because Mr. Rizzi just went over the units for that. But for our GT 8th grade, our essential question for Unit 1 is how do we navigate cultural crossroads? The other units deal with language and community, stories and community, and viewpoint and community. So there's a lot of literary analysis and narrative writing involved. And then our GT students are currently reading Refugee. So if you see those copies of Refugee right now, they have assigned reading for every class. It's only about like 25 or 30 pages. And the standard students will soon be reading The Stars Beneath Our Feet. So my grading policy, my grade book is very up to date. I mark unsubmitted assignments as incomplete within the first week. And so that has no impact on the class grades, but it pops up for the kids so they can see I didn't turn that in. After 1 week, I switch it to missing, and then the zeros will start to impact their grade. However, I will accept missing work. So as long as it's turned in, I'm happy to grade it. My attendance policy is that students are still held accountable for the work. So if you miss class, you should check out the class folders. All the work is posted there, or send me a message. And then, as all the other teachers have already mentioned, small groups on Wednesdays are not optional. Students should check their messages before 11 o'clock, like Mr. Rizzi said, so that they are attending those groups. And that's all for me.
And Miss Roper, I don't know if you're here. I don't think Miss Roper's here, but she also teaches English language arts in 8th grade, and she's a special ed instructor. Miss Johnson, I do believe you are here.
I am here, and I'll be quick. So I'm Mrs. Johnson. I teach the reading class for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I am a certified reading specialist. This is my 21st year of teaching in Baltimore County and my 3rd year at SPMS. So I was lucky to come in with these 8th graders. We came together, and I've gotten to know them pretty well. I really enjoy them. My office hours are the same as everybody else's. Time-wise, my code to join is there. You can always reach me through email, Schoology. I do message the students whenever they're missing an assignment or if I need to meet with them. So they do need to check their Schoology messages. Grading in reading is a little different. In reading, we give the students, they can earn 5 points a day. That'll, along with their regular assignments, will add up to a letter grade inside the grade book in Schoology. However, I got to caveat that on the report card, they will not receive a letter grade. They will receive an S for satisfactory or a U for unsatisfactory, and the county switches that over for them. So that is a difference. And if you have a question about that, just reach out to me. Wednesdays, the students know to check their yellow Wednesday work folder. Everything will be in there that they need to do. And what we are doing for comprehension, Mr. Rizzi, thank you, is we are aligning our curriculum with science and social studies. So they are getting extra background using that content and being taught reading strategies. We are using the Greco-Latin root words. We're focusing on lots of vocabulary and applying all the AVID strategies that we possibly can to be successful. They are using a notebook every day, and during in-person instruction, we will use level text at their level based upon assessments. I know that was quick, but if you need me, reach out. And that is everything that they could possibly do on Wednesdays. That's it for me.
All right. And Mrs. Annie Smith is our special ed department chair. She can't be here right now, but she also teaches reading classes and supports reading classes as well. And now to Mr. Wickman. Maybe Mr. Wickman's not here right now. But Mr. Wickman is, are you here, Mr. Wickman?
No, I think he had to hop off to another one.
Okay, well, he is your AVID teacher, and AVID's advancement via individual determination. It's where we target kids who might need extra support in academics in order to get them into college. We focus on kids who need that extra bump, and they take it through middle school and all through high school. It's a wonderful program. I could spend the next 10 minutes talking about AVID, but I'm not, because I want to continue moving this along. But if you have any questions about applying for the AVID program in high school, feel free to contact Mr. Wickman. Okay, U.S. history.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rizzi. My name is Mr. Faraday. I'm the Social Studies Department Chair here at Sparrows Point Middle School. And first, I just want to set the stage for us for U.S. history, because this is the first half. Students will take the second half of U.S. history in 11th grade. So we started off the year really with colonization, with giving our students a little bit of background, and have hopped very quickly into the French and Indian War and sort of the road to the revolution, where we will then cover basically a ton of history between then all the way through the Civil War and Reconstruction by the time we finish the year. This year, depending on the spring and what we look like as far as COVID and being in the classroom or not, should be the first year that your students will take the MCAP social studies test, where students will have not only multiple choice questions to answer about their 8th grade content, but also continue their historical thinking skills that they started in 6th and 7th grade, with applying it to multiple documents, being able to come to a conclusion about those documents, and really put forth a reasoned and well-evidenced argument forward. So we're going to continue on that trail this year with all of our major topics, whether it's the Revolutionary War, whether it's Manifest Destiny, whether it's the Constitution. You see a little overview there of all of our units of study there. And we really try to take a look at all these different areas in a variety of ways. Industrialization, just a bunch of good things that, I try not to be biased, but 8th grade is my favorite content area in middle school, because it's to most kids and most adults, it's the most relevant, right? That we have our history, that we need to know it, we need to understand it, to better understand the actions and reactions that take place in modern day society. Our grading and redo policy is much like the other major subject areas, 70% minor, 30% major. The only thing that we don't allow to be redone are the unit assessments. It's at the end of the unit, it's the major grade, and we, one, don't have the time to be able to give a redo, and two, it's not allowed by the county. Everything else, we're pretty open for a redo. That's why also we have that nice Wednesday small group time that we are very much looking forward to our kids attending. And just moving forward, know that's a required Wednesday. If we extend an invitation, me, Mr. Coleman, or Ms. Wade, that is something, or Mr. Falk, that we want your child to improve their grade and to boost their skill set. And part of that is coming to that Wednesday time. One thing this year, which is a little different than prior years, that our sort of service learning hour project in 8th grade is now called Project Soapbox, where students are going to be basically selecting a topic that pertains to them and their community and writing a speech about it. This is something they're going to work on slowly throughout the rest of the year in chunks. And as we get to the end of the year, they're going to be giving a prepared speech about their particular topic and what they would like to see happen with that. I think this is very timely with everything in the world, and students being able to engage in a topic that they care about and be able to express their feelings about it. Because that's key to be a citizen in the United States of America, and utilizing our First Amendment to do so. Thank you, Mr. Rizzi. Go ahead. A little bit about us. Once again, I'm the bald guy there on the right. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I've been here now at Sparrows Point Middle School for 3 years. I've taught both middle school and high school. So I know exactly what your child is walking into as far as the HSA in ninth grade for government. And our team tries to prepare them the best we can with their historical thinking skills to get them ready for that HSA. I'm a huge Raven Orioles fans, and go O's, and Ravens are 2-0, so it's great. I'm a gamer and just love teaching, and I wish we were in the classroom and I could see all your students in person, because I would much rather do that. But we'll work with what we got and we'll move forward from there.
Is Mr. Falk here?
I'm not sure he's here, so I'll say a little something real quick. He supports all of us with special ed. He primarily this year is co-teaching with Miss Knight, but he can certainly work with any of our students at any time and be able to lend his expertise in scaffolding instruction and helping them in any way possible. He's a great guy with a great sense of humor, and a lot of our kids maybe at least seen him in our classrooms as a help. He loves rock climbing and being outdoors, basically the complete opposite of me these days. But he's a great guy, and if you see him around or see your students working with him, he's a great resource to have in our department. Go ahead, Mr. Coleman.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mr. Coleman. This is my 20th year at Sparrows Point Middle School. I put a little humor in there. Only Rizzy and Miss Ryan have extra years. I've taught at General John Stricker before and Patapsco. And as Mr. Faraday said, I love teaching 8th grade U.S. history. I'm married. I have a son in 5th grade who doesn't exactly love this virtual learning, but we're trying to make the best of it. I'm a huge Orioles and Ravens fan, and even put in there that I got to attend the first game of the '83 World Series. If you have any questions, I put my email there, jcoleman2. Your children can also message me. We all have the same office hours. If you send me a message during the school day, you will hear from me that day. If you email me during the evening, there's a good chance you won't hear from me the following morning. But please, if you have any questions or concerns, please email me or message me so that I can get back in touch with you.
Good evening. So for some of my 8th graders, this is either their 2nd or 3rd year with me. And I know they probably wondered, would they ever get rid of me? But I guess I'm just like fungus. I'm still among us. Anyway, I have been at Sparrows Point for 5 years. This is my 7th year with the county. And I have the same office hours as everybody else. My redo policy is the same as everyone else's. However, I will say this, my office hours, because I teach 6th and 8th grade, my Wednesday meeting times, often I set aside just a small portion for the 6th, and I try to set the 8th to themselves. Usually we do invite the kids, but I also tell the children in 8th grade, you got to start being more proactive and you got to start advocating for yourself. And if you ever see your student is not advocating for themselves, you might want to nudge them, because some of your kids I've had since 6th grade, and they'll wait till the 3rd day right before the quarter ends, and then they want to do a whole quarter's worth of work. If they are under a 70%, please encourage your student. Please tell them, hey, have you checked your grades? Please go to your small group. Your teacher said that you don't always have to be invited, because we are here for them. I'm pretty much like Mr. Coleman. If you email me during the day, I usually get back to you. If you email me in the evening or on the weekends, you're probably going to hear from me the very next business day. I'm excited to teach 8th grade with the kids this year. I look forward to a wonderful and successful year. Have a wonderful evening.
All right, and with Ms. Slade, that concludes tonight's virtual back to school night. Teachers, you may log off and do whatever it is that you do after you log off from virtual back to school nights. Parents, there will be a Q&A with Ms. Ganaris afterwards. If you have any questions for her, please stay on. And once again, I thank you for being here. Ms. Ganaris is available for questions. Have a good night.
Hi, everyone. I'm hanging out. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute and just ask away.
I have a question, Ms. Canaris. This is Holly Schultz.
It's who? Oh, hi, Ms. Schultz.